Yo, what is happening? My name is Afton and welcome to the 4th episode of the Steam series. In the last episode, we built a foundation and gathered a ton of wood so that today we can build the exterior of a steampunk shop, because we need a shop from which we can sell the limited items that we have stocked up on. And also, we're gonna have a ton more items coming out this year for Thanksgiving and Christmas. We might even get the Thanksgiving items while we're recording this episode, we'll see. But that is to say that we need to hurry as fast as possible to build this shop, so let's just hop straight into it. So to build the first building of the steampunk city that we are trying to build, I'm going to need to grab all of the blueprints because it will just be so nice to have all of them while we build this. I already have a few in my blueprint book, but I'm going to grab the remaining ones that I haven't picked up yet. Hopefully I'll have enough money for all of this. I might need to have Jab lend me a little bit. Oh, it looks like he's already lent me a bunch of money, so we'll be fine. So yeah, I'm just going to get all of these blueprints. Alright, that is all of the blueprints in my book. There are some that we still don't have from Fancy Furnishings, but you know what? We're gonna have to wait until day, which the moon is still in the process of going down for. Hi, Jab. Oh. I guess you are those all of the blueprints I need? Sorry, Jab. Wow, you got me all of the blueprints and I return the favor by crashing into you. Oops. Well, thank you so much. Alright, Jeb's got all of the blueprints from Fancy Furnishings. That is awesome. I've also grabbed a few work lights just so that we can light up the build for whenever it is night. That'll just help us to see what we're doing. Alright, so now we've got some light on the build. It is now time to start working on the framing of this building. So I'm actually going to use a little bit of a trick here. So I'm going to start off by placing down a corner smooth wall right here. And then I need to place another one here. Although you'll notice if I do that while it's still in blueprint form, it's not going to let me place it unless it is a little bit above. There's a little bit of a gap. So we actually have to fill them first, because there's an invisible hitbox. So if I fill that one, I can actually place this in and it's not going to place strangely anymore. So yeah, there we go. Now I can just place another skinny smooth wall right here just to finish that off. And that is the shape we're going for. Doing it with the corner walls is actually going to save us a little bit of data size, because if we were to do the same thing with just skinny smooth walls, it would take 4 blueprints instead of 3, and we really need to be careful about how much data size we're taking up, because this shop is going to be huge. So any little tricks that we can do to reduce the amount of blueprints that we have to use, we are going to take them. And all of these posts need to be 18 studs high, so that's 2 smooth wall corners and 1 short smooth wall stub corner, whatever. They have very long names. And yeah, I'm just gonna be placing one of these thick posts on pretty much each of the corners. Now we need to put in the second floor, so for that we're going to start putting in some ladders just so that we can easily get up there. So there's gonna be one for the interior so you can get up from the inside, and there's also gonna be one from the exterior in about the same spot. So I'm gonna build the one on the outside and Jab's gonna get the one on the inside. So we're gonna start off by placing down basically some horizontal framing all the way around the top of the building, and then on top of this layer we'll build the floor once we're done. Alright, we've got the top framing in, and yeah, the framing is actually coming along pretty nicely so far, I will say. But now it's time to put in the floor, so for that, it's just basically going to cover this entire area. Alrighty guys, so we put in the floor. You might notice that some of the blueprints are not yet filled, and that's because we've actually run out of walnut wood, so we're gonna have to go grab a little bit more. So Jeb's trying to get the entire tree all the way over to our base, but yeah, the bridge is definitely not going to allow for that, so we might have to see. I don't know, is it worth it, Jeb? This seems like it's gonna take a long time. Bro, Jeb, it's in the water now. All right, let's go get a different tree. No, Jeb, we can't get that. Bro, what are you doing? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. There's like 1,000 other walnut trees. Jeb, no, Jeb, that's kind of the smallest tree we have around. What was that all about? All right, we got a load of walnut wood. We're just transferring it over to my base now. Oh boy, what was that? Bro, how'd you catch it with your hitch? What? How does that even work? Can you even get that out? No, it's just stuck on there. What was that? Crazy stuff. Now we can finish filling in all of these blueprints. So now it is time to build the framing of the second floor, and this time it's gonna be a little bit more simple. I'm just gonna place skinny smooth walls 3 high, basically in this pattern for each of the corners. And now we need to put in the rafters, so I'm gonna have to basically do what we've done right here, although it's not gonna be as much of a floor this time. There's gonna be this underlayer and then some rafters. Alrighty guys, so we've got this in. This is basically an outline for the rafters. Now I'm just gonna add some horizontal planks going this way, just to look a little bit more like rafters. Alright, so we've got some rafters built. Each one of these horizontal planks is spaced out by 10 studs. And now that we've got the skeleton of the building built, I think it's time to build some walls. But it might be a little bit difficult with this tree literally growing inside of the shop. What is this, bro? It's a little bit encroaching. The leaves are literally inside of the shop. It literally couldn't have even gotten any closer to the base. It is literally growing inside of the sidewalk. What is happening? Bro, it's still growing. What? It's pretty much blocked off the ladder. Oh my god. Why did it decide to grow here of all places? I guess we can start working on the wall opposite of where the tree is messing everything up. So I guess on this wall I'm just going to put in a window. So there we go. I've put in a little bit of an archway. And for the walls we're actually going to be using oak wood. Jeb. We're gonna be using oak wood. No, Jeb. Be careful with that. Cut it up first. As I was saying, we're gonna be using oak wood to fill all of the walls in. Looks like we missed a little bit right here, so I need to thicken this up right here. So now for these sections right here, the wall kind of curves, so I'm actually going to use 1/2 wedges to kind of curve the wall in. And then for this wall over here, I'm going to place in some smooth walls. Jeff, what are you doing? What is that? What were you doing over there? Anyways, now I'm gonna place in some walls. I can barely place these in. This tree is literally just almost reaching the other side of the building. Oh my god, it is over here with those leaves. Oh my. This thing just keeps growing and growing. Grow a garden in Lumber Tycoon 2. I've actually never played Lumber Tycoon. Wait. So now I'm gonna put in some windows on this wall. Okay, we're starting to realize that things were built a little bit wrong here. So it seems like all of this stuff was built one stud forward on accident. So essentially we gotta just move everything back a little bit, but it's gonna be a little bit difficult with this tree literally growing inside of the post that I'm trying to move. Jab, you're gonna kill it? Poor little thing. I guess not. Fine, I guess I have to. Bye, friend. What? Save the trees? What are you doing? Jab, where are you taking us? Jab, what are you trying to do here? I guess Jab doesn't want me to hurt the tree. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna leave that there until that tree dies of old age. So I can start working on this wall over here, I guess. I'm gonna put in a window right here. Alright, there we go. I've got a little bit of a pointed arch right here. Now we gotta move on to the second floor, starting off with a window on the front. Yeah, there's something very simple, but we've run out of oak wood, so I'm just gonna get a few trees. Alright, I've got that wall in. Now I'm gonna move on to this wall over here, starting off with a little archway on this level. There we go. That's looking pretty sweet. Let's fill that in. Now that we got that wall done, I'm basically gonna do the exact same thing on the other side, just mirrored. There we go. Now for this wall, it is going to look probably a little bit strange once we put in the walls, because we're also going to be putting in a roof right here, but that's for once we start putting in the roof, so it'll look relatively unfinished. But I'm just gonna fill in this area with large floors. I'm gonna kind of make this curve inwards towards the framing, just to give it a little bit more curvature, kind of like what we did down here. And I did place in some skinny smooth walls right here, but I think I'm actually gonna destroy these and just curve the wall in right here as well. And basically do the same thing on this side with the walls. Then for this part, I'm just going to put in a window. And actually, on second thought, just to make it so this window is going to work a little bit better, so we have to use less glass panes, I'm actually going to just move everything in by one. I think that'll save us a little bit of hassle down the line. And yeah, there we go, we're pretty much done. Hopefully you can tell what I meant by it's not gonna look fully finished once we're done with the walls. This is gonna need a roof, and we're obviously going to be adding a lot of decorations to each of the walls after we're done actually putting in the walls themselves. So moving on to this wall, I'm going to build 2 arched windows. Alright, so I like the look of the arches on this, but you might notice that there is a 1 stud gap on each of the sides of these windows. At the top, what I can do is lower this part down, then I can destroy all of these. And now I can just run some skinny smooth walls along the top, and that's actually going to take a lot less wood. And those 2 1 stud gaps are actually just going to become a 2x2 stud gap, which means we don't have to use 4 blueprints, just 1. So yeah, that saves us a lot of wood. Alright, so this is what I have so far. You might notice that we have this whole section above the windows that isn't even filled in. There's a reason for that. I'm gonna be basically putting in an awning right here for the windows, and I kind of want the design of the awning to stick through the walls. We'll get to that a little bit later, but first of all, I'm gonna add a little bit more framing to this wall because it's looking a little bit barren. And I'm also gonna add some exterior window sills to each of these windows, just to add a little bit more detail. And there we go, that's looking pretty cool. One other thing that I think I could add is just some wedges to add a little bit more shape to the framing. And with those filled in, I think that's actually gonna be all I'm gonna do for this wall for now. I'm gonna move on to this wall, which actually is gonna be super simple. It's just gonna be a plain and simple wall, no windows or anything. And then for this wall, I actually had a very interesting idea, and we're actually going to be using something very similar for down there, but I think that's gonna come when we actually put in the interior. So instead of putting in just regular walls, I'm actually gonna go down to the furniture section and select the wide kitchen cabinet, and I'm just gonna place that in. Then I'm gonna take regular kitchen cabinets and place them all the way up to here, and then up here I'm going to take another wide kitchen cabinet and just place it right up here. And yeah, that makes the start of the wall, although you'll notice that if I place in another wide kitchen cabinet, it's going to look like that, which is going to be all off-centered and everything. So in order to fix that, I'm just going to plot shift this wide cabinet out of the way, and that way I can place the other wide cabinet right in its place in the other way. And if Jeb unplot shifts that, you guys can see what that will look like. Of course, it will Z-fight a little bit, but it's not too noticeable, I don't think. So now I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side, basically, just like that. And now we have a very tall window. It's looking pretty cool, but the main thing is that on the other side we have a... Jab, what are you doing? Oh, that might actually be cool. If we open those, then we get like some dividers for the window. Yeah, I mean, it looks kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, on the inside, you guys can see we get a bunch of shelves, which is gonna be perfect for the shop because we want shelves to store all of the items that we're gonna have. So yeah, I'm just basically gonna do the exact same thing on this little gap right here as well. And that's actually gonna be all of the walls complete. There we go, we got both of the windows in. That's looking pretty cool. Jeb's gonna get those all opened. And yeah, I thought that would make for a pretty creative idea for some windows for this building. And of course, like I said, it doubles as a bunch of shelves for items. Now real quick, I wanna kind of fix some things, because right here, there's a little bit of a gap. So I'm gonna put in a smooth wall. And that'll fill the gap on this side, and it will also add a little pillar right here. I'm going to put in a post on the other side to make everything look symmetrical. So yeah, that fixes the issue a little bit better. Next, I think we're gonna start working on the roof, and for that, we're definitely gonna need a bunch more walnut wood, and then later, once the ferry arrives here, we're gonna grab some koa wood. But yeah, I'm just gonna quickly grab some more walnut wood. We've needed to use so much walnut wood so far in this episode. But yeah, let's just shred up this tree with our gingerbread axes, because the gingerbread axe absolutely shreds through this kind of wood. Whoa, jab, 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 jab. Quit it. What are you doing? You cut this thing up. Don't be flinging it, bro. What are you... I guess it makes sense to get it a little bit closer to the bridge, but do not dump it in the water again, okay, Jab? Alright, let's just chop this thing up. And yeah, guys, if you didn't know, the range on the gingerbread axe is absolutely insane. I can just be standing all the way back here and pretty much chop this entire tree. I don't even have to, like, get too much closer to all the branches to chop them. And yeah, it just absolutely shreds through walnut wood. Alright, so I think that's gonna be enough walnut wood probably for now. I'm just gonna grab one more piece. Yeah, let's get going. I said let's get... Okay, I guess we need a little companion to completely block my view of the road. This is perfect. Very safe driving habits. Alright, let's quickly get this through the sawmill. Apparently the ferry is, yeah, it's just about to arrive here in a second, so we need to hop on the ferry once we get all of this processed out. Now this piece of walnut wood is just barely too big to fit into the sawmill, but something you can do is, since sawmills are kind of rectangular, they can actually fit a little bit more horizontally, so you can actually chop your pieces of wood into slices, and then you place them in like this, and they're actually able to make it through. Alright, so this is our pile of walnut wood that we managed to get. That is not bad at all. That might be enough for the roof, but it's probably not going to be, honestly. Anyways, now it is time to head over to the ferry before he leaves, so we can go ahead and ask Hoover when he next runs. It's like we got 1 minute and 46 seconds, so I'm just gonna sit here and wait, and we'll see you on the other side. Alright, we have made it over to the tropics biome. It is pitch dark outside, but we do have this koa tree over here. We're not really gonna bother with the stump of the tree, so I'm gonna start chopping it up here Jab, jab, jab. Jab's trying to race me. We don't need the stump because the stump is going to be very difficult to process. It's way too big for a sawmill. So you'd have to cut it into slices, but honestly, I don't think you could even fit a slice into the sawmill either. So I'm just going to get all of these branches over to the ferry. There we go. I've got one branch on. You gotta be very careful not to let them fall into the ocean. Right as I say that. All right, but luckily it's not too far gone. Oh, Jeb. Okay, I think that one's done for. All right, I'm gonna get this one over, and we kind of gotta hurry if we want to get back on the ferry before it leaves. So I think I'm just gonna quickly rotate this one. Hopefully that doesn't fall. Ooh, that was actually so close, but yeah, there we go. I think, honestly, I'm gonna go grab the truck and get on the ferry as fast as possible because I don't want to be left over here. Yeah, we don't need to get that one. I don't think we have time. All right, I'm gonna get this one a little bit further onto the ferry. Oh, God. Oh, God. Jab, jab, no! Oh, no. Jab, jab, stop, stop, stop. It's not worth your axes. Oh, no, no, no. Jab, are you gonna die? You're gonna die. Oh, shoot. Okay, Jab just left. All right, there goes the truck. I just gotta stay on the ferry. I can't get in any seats. I just gotta stay on the ferry. Oh, God, this is getting really scary. I just gotta hope that this all goes well and I don't get glitched off of the ferry because you could very easily get glitched off of the ferry, especially once the ferry starts going super speed, which it will once it turns around, which is gonna be... Ooh, this is gonna be very scary. I gotta stay on the center of the ferry while it starts going fast. Oh, God, yeah, now it's going fast. Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God. This is so scary. I'm trying to stay on as best I can. Okay, okay, okay. I think I'm safe here. Oh, my camera's going everywhere. Oh, no, oh, no, 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 no. All right, I gotta leave. I gotta leave. No, no, no. Don't reset. Okay, I gotta leave the game. All right, we're back in. That was incredibly necessary. If I didn't leave right then, I would lose all of my axes. Let me just load back in. And hey, it's all of the wood. We still have all of the wood on the ferry, which means we didn't really lose much at all. But yeah, that was a little bit of a disaster. Okay, Jab, what are you doing? Why are you parking there? Okay, it's like I have fully loaded back in, and since I was in a seat, I didn't actually teleport. Jab, be careful with that thing. Be careful, be careful. Jab, careful, careful. All right. We got that on the dock. I'm gonna start getting this one over here. Be very, very careful not to... I don't even know what to say anymore. All right, Jab, you gotta try to recover that. I don't know if that's even possible. I told you to be careful. Okay, is that working at all? Oh, you're kind of getting somewhere. You're kind of cooking. Okay. Try not to die. Okay, just leave it for a second. You need to regain your health. Oh, Jab's just gonna drop his axes and die, I guess. Bro, that was kind of depressing. All right, I'm gonna get this branch off of the dock. Luckily, it's pretty light, so I don't have to worry about rotating it or anything. I can just carry it normally. I don't know, it's also nicer just to rotate it. Jab, be careful. Bro, what are you doing? We don't want 2 casualties here. Okay, Jab. Careful, you're gonna die. Okay. We gotta be very careful with this branch right here. If it drops here next to the ferry, it's gonna be very, very difficult to retrieve. Jab's already struggling with it being very close to the shoreline, but if it's further away, it's just gonna be basically impossible, so we gotta be very careful. Honestly, once I get it off the ferry, I'm probably just gonna chop it up. Gotta very carefully set it down. All right, yep, it's time to start chopping. Jab! Bro, what was that for? I was literally chopping it! Bro, what? Don't act like you didn't just do that on purpose. What was that for? Is this literally the only branch that I managed to get? The only branch that Jab didn't touch? Oh. Alright, Jab, you gotta work on the recovery mission. I'm gonna get this all sawmilled. Bro, remember how the stump was significantly bigger than these branches, and this won't even fit in the sawmill. Maybe if I slice it into slices, then it'll start fitting. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, Jab. Am I gonna have to rescue these? Okay, I see. Bro, I can't turn very well, can I? Oof, I'm gonna die before I even reach a tree. Jeez. This is crazy. Okay, yeah. I might need a bit of a faster truck. Jeb just said he lost all of his axes. Hold on. Jeb, where did you lose all of your axes? I might be able to see it once I get down here. I need to slowly make my way down. Okay, let me... Oh god, I forgot about this. Why is there a truck in the way? I don't know what to do. Oh, I'm not even taking damage right here because I'm standing on the truck. All right, let me respawn both of the trucks so that they're not in the way. This is horribly expensive. I just spent like so much money just doing that. All right, now I'm going to take a utility vehicle XL because the utility vehicle XL is much faster. Now we gotta go find Jab's axes. Where are they? Are they over here? Oh, yeah. I see some. Okay. Let's get, I can't even pick it up, bro. What was that? All right, let's try again. Make our way on over to here. Now I have a better idea of where they are, though. All right. Can I can't. I literally can't grab it. It literally won't let me grab it. What is this? Bro, I think Jab's gonna have to grab them because I am glitched, I think. All right, Jab's gonna drive this time, and I'm going to try to do what I can. I guess, whoa. I don't know what to do. I can kind of try to get this tree out of the water. Oof. It's just barely poking out. I might actually be able to get it a little bit. Oof. Can I? Oh, I'm dead. Whoa. We're making some progress on the tree. That's good at least. Okay, I think Jab actually managed to get his axes, which is great news. Okay, Jab's getting that tree out of the way. That's gonna help. Oh, Jab, you got it. Okay, don't let it fall. No. You did it. Yay, we got a piece of koa wood back from the ocean. That was quite the ordeal. All right, we can just drive this back to the base. Oh, looks like Jab's on the ferry over there. I assume he's gonna go grab some more koa wood. We're probably gonna need more koa wood than this, honestly, but yeah, that'll be helpful. Looking at this is, not how it's supposed to be at all. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't think that was meant to overhang as much as it did. I don't know why I did that. I think I'm gonna bring this all back a little bit. Alright, there we go. Finally, I have shortened all of that. That is looking a lot better. I did have to plot shift a little bit, so these posts are missing right now. But anyways, I think it is now time to start on the roof now. So I guess I'm just going to start off with the framing of the roof. So I think I'm going to go for a bit of a barn roof shape for this section, and then something more round for this section. So far we have this shape. I think it's just gonna go up a little bit steeper and then curve up at the top and then obviously mirror on the other side. So I got some 2/3 wedges. Now I'm going to make it even steeper with some 2/4 wedges. Now I'm going to take a 2/2 wedge and basically start curving it into kind of like a bell shape. And if all of the calculations are correct, this should be exactly in the center. So we've got the center post right here. It goes up to here, and that's actually in line with this beam. So I can just place down some smooth walls to verify that is indeed at the center. And now this is just going to be the mirror line. So now we just gotta take this, what we've already built, and mirror it to the other side. Just like that. That's looking awesome. So now I'm just gonna take these skinny smooth walls and basically run them across the top up to about there. And we're basically just gonna do the exact same thing with the framing. Alright, that is as far as I can get with the walnut wood that we had, but I guess I can start working on the actual roof itself. So we've got a bunch of koa wood here, and I'm basically just going to follow the shape of the framing. Of course, to add a little bit of depth, I'm going to place this one stud back, like so. Then I'm going to take a 4/3 wedge, 4/2 wedge, 2/2 wedge, and a 2/3 wedge, and that should effectively follow the shape, and now we're just basically gonna do that all the way across. Okay, this is as far as I was able to get with the amount of wood that we have. I'm gonna need a lot more walnut wood if I want to fill all of these and also finish the roof, so I'm gonna go grab some walnut wood real quick. Jab. Oh, brilliant. Exactly what I wanted. All right, we're back. Jab, this is not a parking spot. What are you doing? Whoa, 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 whoa. Oopsie. All right, let's get this all into Jab's sawmill, and you might notice things are looking a little bit different. Jab has actually changed up the base a little bit. He's got a new plot right here, and he's actually got 100,000, and that's because he went and grabbed a bunch of ice wood. And that is 2 truckloads of walnut wood. Let's get this over to the base, and I think that'll do us for quite a while. So we're just gonna finish up filling all these blueprints, and now we can start on the other side. So we gotta put in a roof right here going the other way, and I'm thinking it's gonna be more of like a rounded roof. Alright, so we got a very round archway roof right here, and that's looking pretty dope. I'm gonna do something very similar to what we did with this over here. So I'm gonna place a beam going all the way back to about somewhere right there. It's gonna connect into this roof. Now the beam is gonna kind of dip down right here, and then I'm going to make it kind of go into a hook shape. Something like that. And I'm actually going to quickly put in some framing right up here. They're just gonna kind of look like beams that are supporting the roof. And I'm gonna have to plot shift a few of these things out of the way so I can continue placing. So yeah, those are the supports for the roof. I'm actually gonna do something very similar to this roof on both sides. And while doing this side, I've kind of realized that I should probably not do 2/2x1 wedges for this framing right here. It just looks a little bit too skinny. I'm gonna replace it with 3/3 wedges. And yeah, you can kind of see that that's a little bit more in line with the thickness of the smooth wall than these 2/2 wedges. And now that we got these supports in, I'm thinking that I'm gonna put in a wall right behind it. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to plot shift all of these wedges out of the way so I can place walls inside of them. Alright, so we've put in some walls, we put in some supports, and now I think we're just gonna have to fill in all of the roof with this koa wood. We've got a little bit of it done, but obviously it's not finished, so we're just gonna finish that up, and we're gonna leave some holes right here and right here just for some dormers. Okay, we have reloaded, and yeah, everything's looking much cleaner now. Very seamless. So now it's time to put in some dormers right here. I'm gonna start off by placing some posts, but I actually have some posts just laying over here. So I'm gonna use these ones. I'm gonna place them like this on either side. You might notice that this one is 5 studs wide instead of 6, which means we're gonna actually have to place this over by 1. So I'm gonna have to plot shift a few things out of the way for that, like so. Now I'm gonna put in the roof to the dormers. Something pretty simple. Now I've plot shifted a little bit of the roof out of the way so I can place in a skinny smooth wall right there. We're gonna make it go all the way with a short skinny smooth wall as well. Now I want to make this beam flare upwards. And for that, I'm going to have to plot shift again. And I'm going to make that go upwards a little bit. And then use 1/1x1s to just give it kind of like a shape. And Jab's going to make those beams better connect with the main beam right there. Bruh. That was depressing. And now I'm going to add in the main roof part with koa for these dormers. So I need to, of course, plot shift the rest of the main roof out of the way so I can place in the other roof parts and make sure they're all seamless. Now I'm gonna add the walls to the dormers. So I'm just adding some posts in, and these are gonna be filled in with oak wood. Then we need to make those into proper squares. So I'm just gonna place in some tiny floors. Now I'm gonna add in some windows, and in order to add those, I'm going to place in some ladders, and we're gonna do the cross ladder trick where you just place in a ladder, plus shift it out of the way, and then place another ladder going the other way. Alright, so we've got that in. Everything is plus shifted right now though, so it does not look particularly good, so let me quickly reload my slot, and there we go. Those are the dormers fully in, and yeah, those are looking pretty clean. And then other than adding some hooks to this beam right here on both sides and adding the decorations hanging from those hooks, I think the roof is pretty much done after we put in some chimneys. So let's add some chimneys. I think I'm gonna put one right here and one on the other side. So to put in these chimneys, I'm just going to move some of these out of the way. I don't think we're actually gonna need these, so I'm just gonna place them down here for now, but we might actually end up destroying them later. So there we go, we've got some pieces cut out. Now I'm essentially just going to place in some floors in right here. So yeah, that is the base for the chimney. I'm gonna do the same thing basically on the other side. I'm just using this wedge right here just to save some wood because it's gonna take up less wood to use a wedge there than if we used short smooth walls, for example. But yeah, then I'm gonna place in 3 floors on top. Then for the separators of the bricks, because this is basically going to be a brick chimney, I'm just going to place in some countertops because I think those will look a little bit cooler than just tiles. Then I'm gonna place in some cherry floors and then basically alternate up to here, and then we're just gonna make it overhang. And then I want to add some smoke coming out of the chimneys, and in order to do that, I'm just going to place in some countertops. These are going to be filled in with birchwood, so they're going to look gray. And I'm just making it go forward a little bit, and then I think I'm going to start making it turn. So one more up, and then it'll start turning. Alright, we're going to need some more birchwood, so we're going to head up to the mountain biome. Jab. What? Why, bro, that was the smaller, bro, no, that's not the only one you're gonna get. That was the smallest one you could have possibly gotten. No, jab! Bro, you're just gonna leave me down here? Wait, jab. We're not just only getting that one. Okay, I'm gonna wall climb up there. Unfortunately, this is Jab's piece of wood, so it's a little bit laggier, and so it's harder to wall climb with. Bro, this is not working. I think I'm just gonna have to use my axe. Of course, jab. Bro, that's my axe. Stop it. Jab, let me out. Bruh. Okay. My axe is not safe with Jab in its presence. No, Jab. Calm down. Okay, I am axe climbing. Alright, I got up. Jab, what are you doing? That is not a parking spot. Are you gonna be able to get up there with that? Almost. You're almost there, Jab. I'll help you out. Here's a small piece of wood. Okay, here, Jab. Jump up on this thing. Maybe I can angle it more downwards. There you go, you made it! Let's go! Alright, Jab's on a rampage. Jab! What is this driving, bro? Bro made his car into a teeter-totter. Alright, let's get all of these trees down to the base and sawmill them up. Jab! Okay, I'm not even... I'm a little bit speechless, bro. I don't even know what I say right now. Alright, we've got the wood back to the base finally. I'm gonna get it all sawmilled up. Alright, yeah, that is more than plenty birchwood for these smokestacks. So let's bring these over to the base. Jab, let me in. What is happening? Bro, Jab's just gonna leave without me. And crash right into the... Bruh. Alright, now we can continue working on this smokestack. So for the next ones, I think I'm gonna have to place them not one stud up like I have been, but instead just a few tiles. So that one's gonna be 3 tiles upwards, and then we need to somehow place it against there so that there's not going to be any gaps, which is going to be a little bit difficult. I think I need to place down a tile right there and then another tile there. Then I should be able to place down a thin countertop there. And yeah, now that is perfect. Now I'm going to place another one, just 2 tiles up. And then the next few, I think, are just going to be 1 tile up. So something like that. And there we go. Now it gradually makes its way up by 1 tile each time. Yeah, that is looking pretty good. Now we got to do the same thing for the other chimney. So there we go, we've got some smokestacks in, and that is looking honestly pretty good. It's the best we can do. Obviously we don't really have much in the way of transparent parts that we can use, so we've got to make do with what we have. We could have used glass, but it's just really hard to see, so I think this is going to be the best thing we can use. Definitely from this angle it does look like smokestacks. So yeah, so far the shop is looking pretty dope, but now we need to add some things to make it look a little bit more like a shop and less like just any regular old building. So a neat little trick is to add some awning. So I'm just going to place in some 3/3x1 wedges and build an awning like so. And we're going to be alternating between pine wood and cherry wood. So that's why I've placed one every other stud. That way we don't accidentally fill in the wrong ones. Then I'm going to use a 2/4x1 wedge to make this look more like a fabric that is draped across. Then I'm going to use tiny floors for each and every one of the bottoms of each of these, and I'm going to fill all of those in. And there we go, I've got pretty much half of it done. Now I just got to do the exact same thing but with cherry wood. Just like that. And now for the underside, I'm going to place down some upside down wedges just to kind of make things look like we did the underside. I'm not going to place all of them down, but just the ones on the side so that it doesn't look like it's jagged on the bottom. You can see how that really smooths that out. But anyways, next I'm going to place in some 1x1x1 wedges all the way across. And these are just going to be the ends of the actual fabric. Something like that. And there we go, we've got some awning. That's actually looking pretty dope. That's for this door, but I'm actually going to be placing some more awning over here on this side of the building. That's actually why I've left this little gap up here, because we're going to place some awning against it. And that's going to leave us with a cool pattern on the inside as well, so I just want to leave a gap there. And there we go, I've got awning on both the doorway and above these 2 windows. While we're on the topic of adding details to the walls and stuff, I want to add a windowsill right here. And then I'm also going to add just some wedges right here to make it look a little bit more supported and just to make it look cooler, because yeah, that looks dope. And then I want to add some shutters to this window, so I'm going to go ahead and look for, let's see, some fences probably. I'm going to place one on both sides. And then I guess I can put an upside down one to complete it. And that's kind of making this windowsill look a little bit small. So I'm going to expand it by just a little bit using a smooth wall stub. And yeah, that really spices up this wall for sure. And to really drive home the fact that this is supposed to be a steampunk shop, I'm going to also add some gears right here and right here. And they're going to be pretty large. So I'm going to start off by building an axle for the gear to rotate on. And because I'm placing this on an uneven spot on the wall, I'd have to use 2 tiny floors to make up for the stud offset. But using a short corner wall, I can save a ton of wood here. Now I'm going to build the spokes of the gear with some skinny smooth walls on all sides of the axle, and the outer part of the gear won't be round or uniform. It'll have a bunch of gear teeth, so to start off with something uniform, I'm going to build the inner circle in between the spokes. So there's a nice round circle. Now we gotta basically spam tiny floors against all of those. This is gonna take up a mountain of cherry wood and data size, but unfortunately we can't use posts because all of the lines are 3 studs long. So I'm gonna grab some more cherry wood, but I have a feeling that this is Jab's parking job right here. Jab, why is it on its side? I have a feeling this truck is just gonna be completely eaten up by the gears. Now the ends of the spokes already stick out, so these will be part of the gear's teeth. Thus, I wanted to add a little bit more shape to them with some wedges. And then I'm going to immediately plot shift those wedges out of the way to make room for some 2/2x1s that will be the next set of teeth. And to smooth out that shape, I'm going to add a tiny floor and a 1x1x1 wedge against those. And for the final set of teeth, I'm going to add 1/2x1s on both sides of this square that sticks out. And then add a 1x1x1 wedge to cap it off. Then to make the outside of the gear look a little bit more rounded, I'm going to plot shift those 2/2x1s and then place 1x1x1s to smooth out the bottom gap between the teeth. And that is actually all for the teeth. Finally, I'm just gonna add in some diagonal spokes. And there we go, we got a horrendously data-hungry gear that took over 100 blueprints to build. Now we gotta build another one. Alright, we got both of the gears in those things. I'm honestly gonna check my data size. Oh, it's still a 3. That is crazy. Okay, so we're up to a data size 3. I have a feeling we're going to tick up to a data size 4 soon because those gears took up so much. So now we've got some gears, but to really hammer home that this is a steampunk shop, I'm also going to add a few pipes around. So Jab's got some gold wood. So I'm just gonna place down a pipe right here. And I'm also going to do a vertical pipe. Oh, Jab. I'm also gonna put in a vertical pipe right here. There we go, I put in a vertical pipe, and yeah, that's really helping. Actually, I need some ovens. Let's see, I don't have time to let Jab come with me. I need to go over to Fancy Furnishings ASAP because we do need some ovens, and Fancy Furnishings is gonna close really soon. It is getting dark right now. Can we make it? Can we make it? Oh, the moon is going up right now. Oh, we need 2 ovens. Can we make it? Ooh, we gotta go quick. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, there are Thanksgiving items on shelves right now. I don't know if we're gonna get those in this episode or the next, but we do need to stock up on the limited items ASAP before they go off sale because it is after Thanksgiving at the time of recording. So yeah, we definitely need to go stock up on those. But yeah, we got our ovens. That is awesome. Was Fancy Furnishings even close to closing? I mean, it's still open. That's kind of surprising considering how high the moon is right now. So I'm gonna place in these ovens up here. And to do that, I'm gonna have to plot shift some things. Yeah, I'm just gonna place one right there and another one right there. And yeah, that's just gonna look like something industrial, some sort of machine. And now I just gotta add some pipes hooked into it. And then to save a little bit of wood, I'm just going to plot shift the stoves out of the way. And that way I can place some posts going directly into where the stoves were. And then if Jab unplot shifts the ovens, you can see we now have some pipes going into some ovens. Wow, beautiful. So now I guess we're gonna take a ride on the ferry and we're gonna grab some logic because we need a bunch of neon wires. Both for, I think, window dividers and also for just lights. We're gonna be buying a lot of neon wires. Bro, what is this tree doing? And Jab, if you could be the one to buy the wires, that would be great because I am broke right now. All right, let's get these into the truck. Alright, I think we've got everything that we're gonna need from Link's logic. Let's get this onto the ferry and back to the base. We're gonna have to wait for the ferry to arrive, of course, but I think the ferry should be departing over to where we are at soon here in a bit. And I'm gonna use the white neons to outline all of the windows. And there we go, we've got some nice outlines on pretty much all of the windows. That is looking pretty good, but we do need some separators on some of these windows. So in order to do that, I think I'm actually going to plot shift. That's going to give us the cleanest result. So I've plot shifted the outline of wires. Now essentially I'm just going to place a wire going from one side to the other, and that's going to be one separator. I'm going to do that for this lower section as well. And we got to make sure that's as flat as possible. That looks about level. Now I got to plot shift those out of the way. And finally, I'll place one more going right through the center, straight up, and that should actually be that done. Now, Jab's gonna go ahead and unplot shift all of those for me. So far, that's looking really cool. Yeah, I love that. That looks awesome. So right now, I'm not exactly sure how many more neon wires I want to use on the windows because we might be running low. Depends on how things go. So I will continue to put neon wires in these window pieces, but first of all, I'm going to add a lantern hanging from this hook, and then also a shop sign hanging from a hook that we'll build right here. I'm going to place all of the blueprints that I need for this just down here so that I don't have to fill them in all the way up there. So I'm going to go down by 3 studs, I think, and on the bottom of those 3 studs, I'm going to place down a small tile. That should be all perfectly in line. And then on the bottom of that tile, I can place in some wedges so that now we have kind of like a dome shape, I guess you could call it. I'm going to destroy those blueprints. Now I'm going to place in a couple of levers in the top of the lantern and place 4 orange neon wires, basically like a light bulb filament, down 8 studs. And then I've placed in some countertops and a small floor blueprint to place wires against to form a cage around the bulb. But yeah, with this wire in, that should be the cage all complete. And yeah, that is looking so dope. I love that. And yeah, it definitely looks like a steampunk light for sure. So now I just need to hang it from a wire, and I think that's actually perfect. So let's finish that. And yeah, now that lantern is now hanging from the hook. It looks pretty dope. So now it's time for the other hanging object, which is going to be a sign that says shop on it. For that, I'm actually going to have to expand my land because it's going to have to hang over this roof, which is basically close to the edge of the base anyways. And for that, I think Jab's gonna have to lend me a little bit of money because I am broke. I'm gonna need probably 6,000 for this. Oh, thank you, Jab. All right, we've got plenty of money now. Let me just walk over to the land store and buy some land. And we're gonna need this piece right here. So let me quickly go ahead and purchase that. I'm just gonna scaffold up to this point, and now we can start placing in some blueprints. I don't really want to place them up there though, so I'm gonna place them down at the bottom. I'm basically just gonna build a hook down here and then move it up to the roof once we're ready. So there we go. It's nothing too crazy. Gonna fill this all in and place it on up there. Now for this part, I'm actually going to plot shift these wedges out of the way and place in the other wedges going the other way, and that'll just kind of smooth that out. And now I'm going to place a smooth wall down here. This is just going to be for the spacing, and then I should actually build the entire shop sign down here just so that I can fill it all in first. Now I'm just going to get all of that moved up. I'm going to place in a small tile centered in line with the beam above it and place one on both sides of that. I'm going to place a small tile on the top and bottom of that, and then we can place in the 1 by 1 by 1 wedges. We might actually place these in slightly downwards. We'll have to decide. Now I've placed in 3 small tiles, spaced 2 tiles from the edge right there, and then I'm going to get rid of the center one. And now I gotta plot shift these out of the way. So I can go down by 1 stud and place down that skinny smooth wall. And that should be the top done. Now I'm gonna place in a bunch of tiles and I'm gonna fill these in with pine wood. So I'm gonna place those smack dab in the center, and I'm gonna double layer that so that it can be truly centered. And actually we are going to want to make sure that that's placed up inside of all of this. So I gotta plot shift all of this out of the way actually. There we go. I can place that up by 2 studs. And actually, while I'm plot shifting, I'm actually going to plot shift a few of these small tiles out of the way so I can place the wedges down by a couple of tiles. Now I'm gonna just use up all of our tiles going all the way down. We have 12 tiles here, and now it is time to basically build what we built on top, just inverted upside down. Alrighty, everything is in. I just gotta quickly reload my slot. And yeah, that is what that looks like so far. That is actually looking super awesome. We can place a wire from top to bottom on either side. And then to thicken it up, I'm actually gonna add some more wires just slightly spaced out. Alright, now I want to add some neon wires going from top to bottom, but yeah, I kind of suspected that was gonna be the issue. Yeah. Neon wires are so short, you can't get them to go very long, so we're gonna have to actually use 2 of them. And in order to do that, I think I'm gonna have to use a small tile. So there we go, I've got a neon wire going from bottom all the way up, almost to the top. But we do need another orange neon wire to fully finish it. There we go. Now I can destroy all of those tiles. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. I might be able to hide a lever somewhere. I gotta figure out where. Okay, I think I have an idea. If I place the lever in right here, maybe? Alright, that is all in. That is looking pretty dope, honestly. So now the next step is just to write the word shop on it, which is gonna take a lot of time because we gotta make sure it's pretty perfect. Okay, I think that S is way too big. Now we're gonna hang the sign with some wires, and now it is hung up. That is looking pretty dope. And while we do have the other side of the shop sign, I'm not actually going to do that in this episode because we are so late to get this episode out. We really need to get this episode out ASAP. This shop took a very long time to build. So yeah, hopefully you guys like the progress so far. We do have this back part that is not even close to finished. We still need to add this roof right here, but you know what? That's mainly going to be something that really depends on the interior. So we're going to leave it for when we do the interior of the shop. And now you can see the shop in its full glory so far. It is looking so dope from this angle. I'm so excited. I think that's pretty much this angle finished, minus a few little details. But yeah, just look at it from this angle and man, it's so awesome. I'm so excited about that. Huge shout out to the channel members for helping make these videos possible. If you guys want to become a member, you can click the join button next to the subscribe button and support the channel. But yeah, I'm so stoked. I'm beyond disbelief that this is real in Lumber Tycoon 2, and it's only gonna get more epic from here, so stay tuned. But yeah, that'll pretty much do it. I'll see you in the next episode once it's out. See ya!